Hello everyone, my name is Abhishek and welcome back to my channel. So like many of you, to enhance my productivity, I have been using different AI coding editors, platforms like Cursor, Windsurf, Lovable. But the problem that I have with these platforms, they work absolutely fine when dealing with small code bases or when I'm working with hobby projects. But when I actually try these platforms on my enterprise application, typically with large code base with good amount of time, they lack context. Imagine this. Let's say I'm working on a task on a very large code base and I'm relying on the coding editor. Let's say I asked it to add a new feature. It generates the response. It adds a new feature, but it does not fit into the code base. Or maybe it adds the code that is completely irrelevant to the code base. You'll just end up spending a lot of time troubleshooting it. You will end up spending a lot of time fixing the issues with it. So I ran into the same issues with these coding editors. So my quest for finding the right coding editor continued. Fortunately, Augment Code reached out to me a couple of weeks back. So Augment Code asked me to go through their platform, look at the features that they support. Trust me, this is exactly what many of you are looking for. Augment Code can work with large code base and it can maintain the context even if you use the code base for a good amount of time. Apart from that, when it comes to Augment Code, it also tops in the SW benchmarking. So you can see 70.6%, it leads the table and followed by the other AI coding platforms. In today's video, I will show you how to use Augment Code. I also have a cool demo. Rather than just talking about the platform, I will walk you through Augment Code. I will use it on one of the application that I'm building called Transport. Apart from that, I will also talk about a new feature that they have added. I'm quite impressed with this feature, so I thought I'll just talk about it. It is called as remote agents. So make sure you watch this video till the end, especially if you are a senior developer, senior platform engineer, or DevOps engineer. You cannot miss this video. And before we start, I should thank Augment Code for reaching out to me, asking me to explore the platform, and also sponsoring today's video. Perfect. Let's get started. So as the first step, let's see how to create an account with Augment Code and also how to install it. Creating an account is pretty straightforward. Just click on the sign in button. You can use one of your Google accounts to create an account with Augment Code and you get access to 14 days trial period. And using this account, you can also check the user messages. You can also look at the current plan. In my case, the trial plan and features that are supported as part of the current plan. Once the account is created, you can go back to your Visual Studio Code or any IDE that it supports. In my case, I use Visual Studio Code. So let me quickly show you how to install it as part of VS Code. Just head to the extensions, look for Augment extension. Make sure it is provided by augmentcode.com and click on the install button. Because I have been already using it, it is already installed on my VS Code. And once it is installed, you will see the Augment Code icon on the sidebar. You can either create a new project, that is right from the scratch, or you can open a local folder where you have the source code. Even you can clone a GitHub repository. In my case, I have the code on my local machine. But before I start working on the code base with Augment Code, let me first explain what exactly is this demo application. This is actually an open source application. So I have open sourced it and I have plans to make it enterprise ready. So this is a light AI assistant chatbot for interacting with large language models. This is a large code base because it supports a lot of models. And at this point, I have these features pending. So these are all the feature enhancements that I'm working on. Let's see if Augment Code can go through this large code base, understand the code base, and add a feature for us. So for that, I'll first show you by running this application locally, what exactly is this application. And then let's see if Augment Code can add a cool feature to this application. So to run this locally, you need to first clone this repository. It's a public repository. And once you clone the repository, just head to the root folder of the repo and run npm install. For the first time, you need to do it. And once the npm install is done, just run npm run dev. It starts a local server and you can access the application on port 5173. So this is how it looks. A very basic AI assistant chatbot. You can switch between different models and you can ask the question to the chatbot. What we'll do is we will try to add a feature where the AI assistant shows timestamp of the last asked question. So if I type hi, and if this is my latest message, the AI assistant should show the timestamp as now. And if I come back to this, maybe after 30 minutes, it should show the last asked question timestamp as 30 minutes. Perfect. So we will go back to the VS Code and we will fetch this project, open the local folder. So I have it on my downloads folder. Let me search for transport. There you go. Okay. So now we have the code base. This is written in TypeScript and React. Let's head to Augment Code. And as a first step, I will ask the agent. So you can use it as a chatbot, or you can use Augment Code as an agent, or you can also use the remote agent. I'll come back to the remote agent. I will exactly tell you what is the concept of this remote agent. It's a very, very powerful feature. But before that, let's first ask Augment Code if it can understand the code base. So I'll ask it, explain the project and what it does. Let's test it. The best part of Augment Code, it actually tells you, what exactly it is doing rather than just responding back to you with what exactly is this project. It tells you that, okay, as a first step, I will read the README file. Then I will head to the package.json. Then it tells you that, okay, I'm currently looking at app.tsx. By looking at all of these files, it provides you the complete details of the project. What a lot of AI agents do, they just head to the README file. Little information is provided in the README file, and that information is sent back to you, or it summarizes based on the README file. But what Augment Code is doing, it is not only relying on the README file, it is also checking the package.json, the app TypeScript file, which is the main file of the repository, and then it will provide you the complete details of the project. Like what exactly is this project? So we have the summary from Augment Code. Let's see what does it say. Transport AI assistant client. Great. So this is a modern production ready AI assistant client application built with React, TypeScript and Tailwind. Perfect. So it also says that, okay, it's a multi-modal chat, real-time chat. Model switching is also available as part of this AI assistant. It provides the technical architecture details. Okay, it uses Redis 18. It also talks about the functions and the hooks that are used. Great. I mean, look at the amount of details that it provides about the project. It just did not return what is the high level information of this project. Usually, this is the high level information, but it also provided the core functionality, technical architecture, user experience features, current implementation, and other important details of the project. Now let's ask AugmentCode the feature that we are looking at, right? So I'll ask it, add a feature to show timestamp of the last asked question, or let me, last asked question from the user. Okay, so I just provided this prompt to the agent. Let's see again, to add this feature, it's not that easy because it has to navigate through the entire code base. This is where Augment Context Engine comes into picture. Just like how it read through different files to provide the complete information of the project, it goes through the source code files this time more extensively. It understands which React hooks to update, and also where exactly it can update the TypeScript files. And what I've seen with Augment Code, it updates the feature as per the requirement. You can also see it in just a couple of minutes. Okay, looks like this is done. You can see it is running npm runtime. I actually asked it not to build it and not to test it. So Augment Code was also testing the application, and also it was trying to build the application because I'm already running the application on the development server. So when I showed you how to run the application, I started the development server. So any changes that are made by Augment Code, so we can see it updated these files. It should be directly reflected on the development server. So let's head to the page one more time. Let's refresh it. Let me again, provide a simple hi message. Great. So now I can see. So there is a new section here. Last question just now. We'll also come back to this maybe in a couple of minutes to see if the last question is updated from just now to something like 2 minutes ago, right? But this is very interesting. Augment Code went through the code base very quickly. It understood, it adopted the code base, it got the complete context, and it added exactly what I'm looking for. Especially if you are a junior developer, this is of a great value for you because it's not directly updating the files. It is also providing you the information of what exactly it is doing. So this will also help you build the logic. Maybe later, if you're working on a similar functionality, this experience will come a great handy to you. Okay, now what exactly is the remote agent feature? So, while working on a large code base, when you're especially working in a team, there will be a lot of features where you say, okay, let me come back to this sometime later. For example, while I'm working on this application, I ignored some of the unit test cases, which are the quite obvious ones. And I said, okay, I'll come back to this later. But very honestly, I never added the test cases. The code coverage is not up to mark at this point because I was involved in multiple other features. I'm thinking about adding some cool extensions to this application. So remote agent can actually help you in these cases. When you have a documentation debt, or when you have maybe a technical debt on your large code base or the application, so you can ask the remote agent. For example, I will ask it, add test cases or add unit test cases to the project. Now what this does, as soon as I ask the remote agent to do it, it will create a remote session. So this will not stop you from working on this application or working on this code base, because what remote agent does, it will create a remote session. So you will see it will create a SSH session, or it will create a remote session. You can SSH to it, setting up the workspace, right? Once it sets up the workspace, I will show you. So you can see here, it set up a remote workspace. so that it does not block your current work. It works in the background. So I can actually open this remote workspace. You should grant the SSH access. So this is the remote workspace that it set up, and it started working on this remote workspace to add the test cases. So this way you can just instruct augment code to work on your technical debt items while you are actually working on the features, or while you're working on some important features. Imagine this way. You are a senior developer and you have bunch of interns. So you provide technical backlog things to the interns. That is exactly what your remote agent can do. So with remote agent, you can get the power of a senior developer, right? So it started adding the test cases. I'm sure it will take a lot of time. So in the meanwhile, I will head to the agent mode and I will ask Augment Code to add another feature to my application. So this way, I can use it in the agent mode. I can also use it in the remote agent mode. With a quick refresh, we can see the timestamp is updated. Now it says last question was asked 10 minutes ago. So Augment Code not only added the feature, but the feature is working perfectly fine. Now, all this is possible because it not only understood the code base, but it also maintained a deep context. So it understood the code base and it also understood the context of your question. Now, if you want to explore more about Augment Code, we learned about agent mode, we learned about remote agent. If you want to take a look at the different features that it supports, I would highly recommend you to go through the documentation. If you want to check anything specific in the documentation, you can also use the Ask AI feature. Personally, I have explored the MCP servers in the agent mode. So I was playing with GitHub and Kubernetes. So I used the GitHub MCP server and Kubernetes MCP server using Augment Code agent mode to create resources. For example, I asked it to create a GitHub repository. It perfectly did it. And I also asked it to deploy some resources on my Kubernetes cluster, and it was able to do it. I followed these steps from the documentation. If you're interested, you can also go through them. Also, you can check how you can configure it in Vim, NeoVim, and multiple other things through the docs. Just a quick recap before we conclude this video. So we have learned about Augment Code, probably the only code editor which can work with large code bases and maintain a deep context. We also saw how to use it in the agent mode, and especially we learned about the remote agents. Using remote agents, you can ask the Augment Code to work in background on your technical backlog items. So this way you can get the power of a senior developer and bunch of interns who are nothing but your remote agents. So this is about Augment Code. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Make sure you check the links in the description and also the pinned comment. See you all in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.